We'll talk about Dynamite here as we wind down. I thought it was a great show on Wednesday, probably one of their stronger shows in a very long time, at least in the last month and a half since they moved to TBS in 2022. Didn't love everything, but it was a very newsworthy show. We got the AEW debut of Keith Lee as expected. No Forbidden Door shit. And now we got Jay White coming in. But they made it sound like it was the same, not they. Tony Khan, if you reread his tweets from last week, made it abundantly clear that the person coming in was the Forbidden Door person. Jay White is not signed to AEW. He is coming in as the Forbidden Door. They got a lot of expectations that people legit thought Ali would come out and say, oh, fuck WWE. Like, people legit thought Shane would come in.
I thought Hunter might come out.
The intelligence level of these people, to me, is just unfathomable. Why you would actually think that any of that would happen? Hardy I could maybe see, not because, I'm going to violate my 90-day, but because maybe they worked out an agreement for him to leave early, like Aleister Black. They didn't work anything. That was a 30-day. The company fucked up on that. WWE fucked up. But, him or... I was glad it wasn't like a Juice Robinson. I could give two shits about him being brought in at this point. He would get lost in the shuffle. Keith Lee is a great pickup, though. I said it on Twitter last Friday. News broke, of course, after we were done recording, AEW in talks with Keith Lee. Very happy he winded up there. They have to follow up on this, though, and actually utilize the guy correctly. They have to utilize him correctly. Great that he's in the ladder match. Have him win the whole fucking thing and beat Sammy Guevara for the titles. None of this shit where he doesn't win, or like he doesn't go for the title, or he doesn't win the title. Unless they have a big feud planned for him and Keith Lee is a star, he should be a top guy in WWE right now. They fucked up by letting him go. Make this guy a focal point of your brand. Let go of the other people. You're not doing shit right now with in AEW. People like Hager and Janela. Make room for Keith Lee and push this man. Jay White is a good get too. I don't know what he's going to be doing exactly. Probably obviously playing a role in the whole Cole, Bucks, and Bullet Club shit or whatever with Omega when he comes back at some point. But, yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see what they got in mind. But before we get into anything else, I want to get your thoughts on the Forbidden Door that I know you walked through as well. They're rivals of Keith Lee and Jay White's AEW.
I walked through the free agent door last night as well. I like Keith Lee. I mean, I was huge on Keith Lee. I mean, I think a lot of people forget when he first got called the main roster. They were, he did nothing. Like, he fucking beat Randy Orton right after he lost the title. He was in that Survivor Series match against Roman. I mean, yeah, once he got sick and came back with the whole Bearcat shit, yeah, that was terrible. But I think people were like, oh, this tonight's debut better than anything in WWE. Like, can you, calm down? And
it was better than anything he did on the main roster after he got called up. I would say that. I would absolutely say that.
Beat Randy Orton in a pay-per-view match. Him beating Isaiah Cassidy last night was not better than him beating
No. But I would say the way he was presented, though, like if you do a side-by-side of what we talked about it here on the show a year and a half ago. When he fucking showed up on that Raw after SummerSlam with the tennis shorts on.
I loved it.
The awful, one of the worst NXT call-ups I have ever seen. I have never, and then he had a match with Orton later that night that ended in a 2-minute DQ win for Orton. It was one of the worst debuts I've ever seen. So, if you compare the two, it's not even close. But again, all about the follow-up. WWE, I will say this before you would go any further. It seemed like that awful debut, he did recover nicely from there to a point. The gear was bad. The music wasn't great. But he did beat Orton on pay-per-view. He did win at Survivor Series or Team Raw that year. He got a couple of WWE title shots. He had a couple of matches with Drew McIntyre on Raw for the championship and had quality matches. And very likely, dude, he was probably going to win the United States Championship at Elimination Chamber last year, like you said, before he got sick. Or before it got worse or whatever. So it was only after he came back, for whatever reason, they lost complete interest in the guy, the whole Bearcat shit. That was where it went downhill. Beyond that, though, it wasn't like it was EC3 was like one of the worst runs I've seen. For a guy of his talent, he did absolutely nothing. That is a guy that did nothing. As far as the debuts go, comparing the two, his AEW debut on the main roster, the night after SummerSlam 2020, not the Rumble or Survivor Series, was better than what he did. It was inferior to what he did on Dynamite last night. I will say that.
Okay, I'll just agree to disagree on that one. Honestly, I still miss Bearcat, but that's another story. But, I mean, it's great. I think it's great. I just want the same people that are going crazy, bring that same energy to when he's on Dark every week. And
I agree.
On Elevation, I want to hear everyone complaining, and I want people who were begging begging for Hangman to be the one to beat Omega. How about you actually promote the guy and put him on TV? Last night, his title match was the least advertised thing on the whole show. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, all this stuff, free agent signing. Oh, we got the fucking Inner Circle, stupid shit. Oh, yeah, the main event's a Texas Death Match with like, it's been literally, like, put more effort into that. I think that's what people are pissed about. Because Keith Lee's great. I love Keith Lee. Don't know much about Jay White. You're saying I love him. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, like, that's all great and stuff. But I think where people fail to realize, like, if they're just booked like a Jay Lethal has been or like Andrade, then it's just not going to do anything. And then there's going to be another cog in the wheel. I mean, they can keep saying all these signings. I mean, they basically brought in the biggest signing they could bring in with Punk, and it hasn't really done much, like, ratings-wise or for a different audience. So, like, what else can they really do at this point? I think some people are brought in by probably not Keith Lee, but, like, when Christian, I think Christian's probably a bigger name. So, like, when he got brought in, like, Punk, Bryan, Moxley, like, people come in and watch the show, and then they watch that part, and then they see the rest of the show, and they're like, what the fuck is this shit? So I think they really need to start, like, really focusing on even like Hangman. I'd say Darby. I feel like he's, like, been on the show, but he's not really a big focal point lately. I mean, less Jericho, less Dan Lambert, less Cody. Just keep the good young stuff coming. Even feature Bryan on TV a little bit more. I feel like I haven't seen him forever. So, but if you're gonna go on with Keith Lee, you got to go all the way. Like you said, he's got to win the ladder match, and he's got to win both of the TV belts.
The 2 titles thing is awful.